That's old.
It was a long time.
Like, this is some ancient history.
I was at a
here.
J1 in San Diego. It was a long time. So yeah.
Well, let's see what we get out of the draft here in this one. For the first time this series, DFM will be on blue side. Graves and Silas banned away. That Graves ban stays banned, while RNG is saying no more tree, no more cannon.
Still sticking with the Callista ban though, which is a bit of a surprise. Again, I thought we'd see this dropped, but this is going to be the first time that we actually get RNG on the red side. We're still seeing them stick with Maokai. We're going to get the Kennen. I'm curious what that next one is going to be. We saw in the last one it was still the One, which could honestly be it, but it feels like Evie now has that opportunity to take away the Aatrox regardless, and then we'll have to see how Breathe feels playing into it. Could actually bring out the Fiora that we've seen banned away a little bit throughout this series.
Fiora, which has been banned away. He's been going with the Jax into it so far. I think RNG are one of the teams who I expect to be very comfortable playing into the Aatrox just because of the champion pool that Breathe has. Still, it would be the first pick I would expect to see because other picks that have been high presence in play-ins like Hecarim have kind of been falling through the wayside so far in this draft.
That was the other one I wasn't sure on. If they want to take away the Sejuani, Steel has been eyeing that up consistently. Now, I think Wade didn't have the best of games on it in game one, so maybe they were going to let it through, but it feels like now Breathe just gets to go back towards the Aatrox. You can look towards the Viego again for Wade if you want, and essentially just, even though we're flipping sides, stick with the same picks.
Yeah, it's kind of strange if you end up getting the just walk it back on opposite sides. You're kind of wondering, well, what's going on here?
Yeah, that's actually why I'm not the biggest fan of the Sejuani coming through. Like, I totally get it. It's comfort for Steel. He's looked great on it so far throughout play-ins, but it's one of the things that opens up Way's Viego, and Way does look like one of the members of RNG who hasn't fully adapted so far to the meta that we have here at Worlds.
Oh, no.
And now he's going to be able to keep going towards it, but Dagda.
Oh, no.
I don't think either of us want to see this.
Xiaohu has a 33% win rate on his here.
We did
it is not the pick.
We got away.
We avoided it.
We got away. We got away. We took a different route. Lissandra locked in for RNG and Xiaohu.
And this is the combo, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you go in, you have Reset City coming through, Viego able to, get control of another champion, and then the Ice Zombies able to follow up and find those kills. But one of the difference from last game is this time around, things like the Yone still left open, but this is much more stock and standard DFM, playing that disciplined style that Raz was talking
And that's
about.
what I was going to say, right? This is definitely a composition now that we're starting to write out that is like, hey, we're going to play for late game. We're going to play for these later fights. We're not going to try and go for any of these wacky dives in the early stages. And it is, again, going to fall back to RNG to play this more aggressive style. So I think taking something like a Tristana here in this bottom side could also play into that, give yourself a ton of range.
Yes.
And it looks like that is going to be the game plan here for DFM.
I love it. I love it coming out so far for DFM. They're not only taking away some things that RNG have liked and leaned on, but also going back to their style. The thing that's scary is what we were talking about, when we finished last game about RNG. They've kind of accepted like, hey, if DFM can match us mid and late, let's just get ahead early, and picks like the Azir open up for that.
Oh, he could be getting it though. Breathe, eyeing up the Fiora. I still think you'll probably take the... Oh, I was going to say take the Aatrox.
Yes.
But this is going to be it. And this is something everybody that I talked to was like, yeah, but you won't blind pick the Fiora. They're never going to... This is what we do in LPL. We are happy to blind the Fiora and just go run amok in the top side.
This is how Breathe became famous back when his name was Curse and he was playing on OMG, had an insane Fiora outplay, and then everyone in the LPL was watching him.
LPL blind Fiora locked in here in game number 4. And hey, if you're willing to blind lock Fiora, you don't have to worry about banning Aatrox because people pick Fiora into Aatrox anyway. So they're essentially daring DFM to take the pick, as Rel and Nautilus will both be banned away. They want to target engage supports. Over on the other side, DFM knows they have a marksman, their opponents don't, so they'll ban out Aphelios, but they'll throw in another engaged support ban of their own, removing a Mumu as RNG pick up Varus for Gala.
Yes, we actually saw Unforgiven pick this up the other day. It is something that's still kind of on the outskirts of the meta and does have a decent amount of push, can set up well for team fights as well, and just have good follow-up on the likes of the lockup from the Lissandra. So still you're going to have a strong enough 4v4 coming through from RNG, decent scaling with the Varus, but I still think a lot of this is going to be predicated on, hey, let's get Breathe ahead in this top side and make sure this Fiora can pop off.
Yeah, and it looks like for Evie, just going to go back to something safe and standard. Going to lock in the Gnar, so should have a decent time up in topside. At least you have the range. You can try and get through that matchup. And DFM, I mean, they've completely signaled, right? They are playing 4 5v5s. You don't expect to see any early shenanigans coming out from them and trying to match into what RNG have done so far, and probably looking to pick up another, engage source in the bot side.
Yeah, Leona, that was the big one I was going to say, especially when you're looking towards the Varus on that bot side as well. Having the solar flare, short range AD carry, Leona just suits super well, and you've got great all-in. So now I'm curious to see what Ming is actually going to go with on this bot side. Could end up going back towards, honestly, someone like the Tam Kench.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be your best bet to just try and keep people safe here.
I mean, whenever you see somebody like Varus or like a Felios or any of these AD carries that do not have built-in defensive mechanisms, Tom Kench is just one of their best buddies in the whole entire world, right? He can keep you safe, he can keep you protected, he can get you away from those solar flares, from those Sejuani ultimates, from those Mega Gnars, and get him to a spot where he can deal the damage.
Yeah, and now for RNG, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, right, is wanting to play through sides, is the fact that they have that Fiora. Also not having a huge front line, so team fights can be a little bit dicey. But even when they ever want to start any of their own action, like go on a turn, or maybe you found a pick and now you want to force, a lot going to be on the plate of Xiaohu.
But that's the way they played coming into summer, right? When we saw the meta kind of shift away from engaged supports, Xiaohu was the one that stepped up and took that mantle on pick specifically like the Lissandra. So I'm expecting big things again from Xiaohu to be able to try and play that style, and we'll have to see exactly how RNG are going to try and play it this early game, because it feels like, again, they need to get these leads or you just fall victim to the team fight of DFM.
And guys, I've been on the desk with Jat every day, and Jat's been making a lot of references to like obscure sandwiches, peanut butter and bacon, which sounds fine to me, or other things. To me though, Jat, if you're out there, DFM have the PB&J. This is like the most standard, 5v5 team fight comp. You have a solid front line, you have a ton of DPS. You don't expect a lot to happen early on in the game. If it does, maybe I'd expect it to happen more around bot side, because you do have Tristana, so you do have some all-in threat there, but it seems like DFM have just covered their bases overall with their composition.
So do we feel like we're going to get more of a game one type of early game, no first blood till 10 minutes type of play, or what's the expectation here with these compositions?
I think it's really hard to say, because the biggest problem that I see is that like a lot of this is going to hinge on like Xiaohu and Wei trying to work together again. But very similar to game one, it's going to be hard for him to get out of lane. Like Azir gets a ton of prio against Lissandra. Very hard for Lissandra to actually get access to those sides. So I think it will be a case of DFM having that time to get to a mid game where they're happier to fight, and just having Utapon continuously pushing bot lane, Yaron continuously pushing mid, and just trying to play through the push you have across all three of your lanes.
Alrighty, let's rock and roll. Let's do it. We've got RNG with teleport on both of their solo laners here in this one, so that they know that they're ready to go here and answer whatever might be going on across the map. Also spellbook there for Lissandra, nothing too wild. Showing up across the loadouts for anybody. Both AD carries going to be rocking the cleanse here in this one because of the amount of CC, especially point and click type of CC available on both sides.
And the thing I'm looking at now is I feel like RNG are going to have to put a lot into playing around topside. The fact that Brady didn't take the flash for DFM, they now have a point to pressure up in top as well. Like you said, Steel gonna have this CC to come through. Hart might be able to find some movements as well, because not a ton of threat coming down in bot lane as Breathe not gonna feel too threatened early on, but still a nice trade for DFM.
Yep. Just going to get a little bit of HP off him up there, but it's not like either top laner really had to do a whole lot of anything. No summoner spells used, no potions consumed. Both of them lose about 100 HP, but nobody's too worried about it. Doesn't look like we'll get a whole lot different from what we've been seeing so far here at the level ones. A little bit of poking, a little bit of annoyance back and forth, but no real all-in type of moves coming out. Breathe is still just hanging around, seeing if maybe he can get one extra bit of damage, but it won't happen.
I mean, it's not like he's going to be able to do too much in this top side anyway. Evie should have control there, just with the range advantage. We'll have to just try and play back from Breathe, although Breathe trying to see if you can do a little bit to zone him off. But again, you should have just push across all three lanes here, working relatively well for DFM. And then I think that's how you can open up the map for Steel and see if he can get some work done.
Yeah, and that's why we don't expect to see too much action able to come through early on in the game. Definitely some setup there. You talked about especially for Xiaohu having that CC to set up for four-way. The problem is Yaron on the Azir has the mobility to get away. And then when we look at Steel, we talked about no flash on Breathe, but pathing down towards that bottom side first, though, we might get the workings of the mid-jungle.
Ooh, we could get a nice spicy bit of early gameplay here, or we could get some smoke and Azir standing still. Yep, it's going to be about a little bit of damage there from Wei, enough to deal an HP potion's worth of damage.
I will give the spice level of that play, we'll say a spice like cumin.
Yeah, that was not a whole lot, but now maybe they're able to spice it up. Flash into the stun. Over the wall goes Yaharong. Xiaohu's here with a follow. They don't have enough damage. That was wacky.
He did so well to respect the first game. Gank walks right up. I mean, Wei was waiting around, but still didn't have enough time to get like halfway through river, even if he wanted to.
Yeah, really weird that they end up committing that much to mid lane as well, because they ended up losing a lot of the pressure now that they could follow up with that flash being burnt on Yaharong. Looks like they are going to move immediately towards the top side, though. We might be looking for a dive on both sides.
Oh boy, my friends. Here we go. Top side, it's heavy in danger. There comes your Spectral Maw. Won't hit, won't matter. First blood over to breathe. Nothing to it.
And that was just a solo kill coming through as well. We didn't have anything else happening, but now dive for DFM?
Yep, they're bringing it in, but is it going to be enough? Udapone going for it. He tries to cleanse, but he dies before his butt hits the ground. Oh,
we needed
man.
it slow. Raz wanted it slow. Where's the slow?
Did they read Raz's win condition? Are they razzing right now?
They might be razzing, man. That was not what DFM needed.
And you can understand, right? RNG setting up the play on the opposite side of the map. They feel like they want to get something going for themselves as well, but now it feels like 2 games in a row, a dive from DFM only coming to set them behind. RNG now gets the wave pushed in. Doesn't seem like Udapon will lose out on too much, but still nice advantage going for, honestly, RNG on both sides of the map.
And that's the thing. I mean, look, you do win on top side for RNG, which is why I think DFM felt the need to make that play, but you really didn't have to. I mean, Udapon was going to be able to slowly chip away at these turrets. You would have gotten those plates. You actually could have then tried to play up to Tristan after she got advantage. I mean, look, Udapon's about to get one for himself here, right? But Ming does a good job of baiting DFM underneath the tower. Knows he has the flash, knows he's got that thick skin. The TP can come through from Xiaohu as well, and Udapon just not quite able to finish him off before they go down. And even the fact that Leona had to flash away from the turret as well to keep herself safe says a lot about how that went.
It was a split second before he hits the ground and gets the rocket jump damage. And I actually think what might have determined it is the fact that the way the turret was shooting, he's up in the air right next to the crystal that fires the bullet.
Yeah.
It had to travel all of about 2 centimeters before it hits him and kills him. And it just feels bad for Udapone, man. The unforced errors are the ones that can sting the most in a game of League of Legends, particularly a game like this where it's all on the line for DFM.
Yeah, I mean, it's the deciding game, and again, it's kind of sadly for DFM that they've been here before. They had to play against EDG to get out of play-ins in 2018. Not something you want to do, having to play an LPL team to decide if you get to the main stage. Back then, they got 3-0'd, so, you know, they have stepped up, taking a game off RNG, again, another close game too, and this game's still not over just yet.
Okay, Harp's gonna get punished here, maybe. Nice job popping the blast plant. They need a bit more damage to finish him off here. They're gonna grab the kill. DFM getting punished. RNG just stopping him again.
Yeah, they're crashing and burning a little bit here, lads. DFM not able to find anything on that play. 4-0 now for RNG, and I mean, last year was the first time DFM managed to make it to that Worlds group stage, and unfortunately, it looks like the ship might have sailed with the way that this game is going.
Man, Wei is already onto the Drake now, too. Remember back to game 1 when DFM got it at 7 minutes? I said, wow, that's a really fast Drake, boys. Well, it's going to be even faster here this time around, and it's paired up ever so nicely, complemented by a 2,000 gold.
Yeah, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see Wei having a really good series. Honestly, great play-ins, great playoffs in LPL, because didn't feel like he had the best regular season under his belt. And he's one of the main driving factors for RNG. We're going to see here DFM wanting to go for this invade and try and find a bit of a punish coming out. But 3 members of RNG are already here. Udapon tries to join up, but Harp is already so low. Feels like everything goes the way of RNG. I even love how aggressively Gala played, flashing in, knowing no real follow-up can come from anyone on DFM.
Well, that's because you're looking at Udapon, and he's kind of there for emotional support.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you got it, guys. Go free,
on,
guys.
fellas.
Like, oh, okay. Well, that one didn't work out so hot. But now, Ming going to be able to move in towards mid lane, going to help out Xiaohu. We're looking at the Rift Herald that's just about to spawn in 45 seconds, and it's just RNG trying to see if they can get control for that, with Gala already starting to get that push in bot side so they can set up for it.
Yeah, they've already got Wei with control over the Scuttle Crab. Udapone just walking right back down into the bottom lane to be ready to farm up. So AD carries both left on their lonesome down here as Wei will head back into his own side of the jungle. All of our solo laners have their level 6, they have their ultimates. Of course, Evi's was just spent up there. We know how easily Gnar likes to expend that, just use it on the wave if nothing else. The cooldown is very short. However, the junglers still both level 5 for now. I do expect, particularly for Wei, and there it is, right as I say it, level 6 hit for both of them. So the ultis are available if we get a Herald fight.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if RNG outright start the Herald or if they try to find a play on Evi first. Luckily, Evi hasn't walked and shown in lane yet because it could have been very easy CC setup coming through. We'll just check it out. Now we see what DFM wants to do because Steel going to start heading up here. And I mean, DFM do have solid AoE tools to be able to try to pick one member of RNG off.
But RNG did see the enemy top laner on that control ward that they placed in the top part of the jungle. So they are aware of Evi's movements. He's back underneath the turret answering a massive wave right now. And DFM, they know that they cannot afford to go try and stop that as Breathe just backs away a little bit, takes a turret shot, no big deal really. It's Rift Herald over to the side of RNG.
Yeah, able to use that top prio to make sure no one comes in. I also meant CC tools to, pick one member off, as, that is what CC does. But sadly for DFM...
Very important, yes. Yes.
We're here teaching the fundamentals, what people want to know. But DFM, not able to go for any sort of cross map. And it's just kind of rough, right? Already being in this position so early on in the game that it really doesn't feel like their draft didn't have the tools to really set anything up regardless, but now already starting to fall into this much of a hole at the 10-minute mark feels rough.
Yeah, and I mean, because you got Breed with this big CS lead in the top side, he's actually going to be very quickly escalating to a point where Evi just can't really deal with them. Xiaohu, yes, is falling behind in the mid lane, but again, it's not really the end of the world if your Lissandra doesn't have the same CS. She's going to be just doing her job regardless.
Alrighty, we've got a 3v3 maybe brewing down here in bottom lane. DFM, I'm sure we're thinking about it, especially with Harp hitting 6 and Ming not doing the same, but they see Wei shadowing behind. They know if they go in, they're just going straight home in a body bag. They call it off, and I'm glad they did because you just can't force things like that so hard. Xiaohu trying to make the rotation up towards top side, walks over some vision, so Evi should know enough to get away in time.
Yeah, and the fact that we see him about to mega as well. Breed's already been chunked out a little bit. I like they don't go for that.
There it is. They're going to blow up Ming, or are they? No way he gets out of this one. He uses the stasis. Udapone dies, and DFM's hopes are going with them. Wei wants to grab another one. The piercing arrow right through Steel's heart.
The reset champion into the reset champion. That should be illegal. The amount of distance he got to carry there to finish off these members, and we're still going.
Oh no, it's a disaster. Wei gets kill number 7 for RNG. This game is a slaughter. If you have young children watching, tell them to avert their eyes because this is some violence on the Rift from RNG.
RNG just scaling up into the series. The most dominant early game they've had so far. Dag, I'll even take this one, but like you said, Wei getting from where he starts to where he ends is crazy.
And the fact that Ming gets away. Like, I don't even see a health bar there. He's just shield. And then as Udapone goes in, he end up seeing the stopwatch come through perfect. And this is the reset champion into the reset, into the follow-up, and then it's just get it off my screen.
It took him like 5 seconds to get from where he started to where he ended. So yeah, Wei, once again, 3-0-2 on the Viego.
Oh no. Oh no. Harp. Oh no, they're just gonna spit him right back out. Gobble, 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 gobble. Gobble, 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 gobble. They're just screwing around. They're having a good time.
There's 3 wards invested onto that blast cone to stop Harp from
there we
getting
go.
away.
There we go. 8-0. RNG is just having fun with it at this point. Breathe. Nice repose. Nice dodge. This is why you can blind pick Fiora. Breathe just goes right back in. He wants to box with him a little bit.
I love Breed just playing right in front of them the whole time, just baiting their attention, maybe trying to get Steel to overstay, but DFM knowing they have no opportunities.
I feel like that level of swagger and daring is exactly... Whoever designed Fiora, get Fiora's champ designer on the phone. I want to hear, like, this has to be what they were envisioning for playing with your opponents and dancing around them as he does it again and again and again and again and again. And now Yaharong trying to get himself away, but it ain't gonna work too well. Or is it? Harp going into block Xiaohu as Yaharong, there it is. Spectral Maw flies out, Wave flies in. And boy, oh boy, RNG pick up the first turret to go with it. It's 6K in 12 minutes.
The turret goes down bot. You've already got 2 dragons for RNG, and we're only 13 minutes into the game. This is the level that RNG were expected to come in at, and finally, they're showing their true colors in this series. Now, Breed's going to start putting pressure onto this top lane turret as well, picking up at least one, if not 2 of these plates before the turret plates fade.
Yeah, looks like DFM, though, going to try and find the pick. Can they do it the third time?
Okay, this time they brought 3 dudes. Can Breathe escape all 3 of them? He goes back in. He reposts a whole hell of a lot of CC, but he's got very little mana left to work with. He tries the lunge yet again, and finally, through hell and high water, they come for him again and again, and they get their man. DFM are on the board.
DFM finally have something to show for. Still not in the best of places, and now I'm hoping, maybe Ming will scold him. Earlier we were talking about how Xiaohu and Ming are the mom and dad. They've said Xiaohu is like the supportive, emotional, let's go guys, and Ming is the one who, brings down the fist when anyone steps out of line. I imagine that's what happened after game 1 as well.
You would have to think something like that, right? One's the parent that's happy you got an A. The other's the parent that says, well, 96 is all right, but what about the other 4?
Exactly. So RNG having to live.
I say it because my mom was like that growing up. Love you, Mom, but we both know it was true. Let's see. Can Evie get away from this one? Yep, he's good. Yeah. He's good. DFM, you take those. In a game like this, you take those.
Both top laners showing their experience in dodgeball. I love it. I love it. But RNG still being the ones to keep pressure top side. Surprised that they aren't going to overcommit. But I guess no one from DFM really showing on the map. We can see Yaharong right now picking up Krugs. Harp not even walking out from base yet, so not wanting to overcommit for that objective.
Yeah, taking it slow across the map. I mean, you're going to get the Rift Herald here anyway, so they're pretty happy to just take the objective and leave. Breathe should be fine now to start moving down towards this bottom side. Xiaohu will be able to put pressure on towards that top tower and have a little bit of that escape with the Ice Claw to keep himself in check. So overall, again, RNG just going to dot their I's and cross their T's, make sure they're able to get all these outer turrets down. And this has kind of always been the way with RNG, is they'll get these leads, and it's this slow, steady suffocation that just is horrible to be on the receiving end.
I don't feel like any sort of suffocation in a game of League of Legends is what you want to be a part of on the receiving end here for DFM. But man, it's been so tough here in this game. Yutapon especially, if this man's not completely tilted out of his mind, then he has absolute just like Asgard mental.
I'm just saying, like, how could you... I'm still tilted for him from last game's Boomerang Blade that didn't get the kill.
I will say, though, to give DFM their due, they performed incredibly in game 1 and game 2 of this series. Like, game 1, they took the game. Game 2 was incredibly close, and they pushed RNG to the limit. So even if they don't pick up the win, this is a massive showing for the LJL region to be able to keep up with the 4th best team in the LPL.
And not just for the LJL. Remember, back during game 1, that was the first time any minor region team had ever taken a game off of RNG. They were 18-0 historically. So DFM definitely showed that RNG can bleed in a way that a minor region team has never shown before. But as you were saying, it's just been RNG ramping up throughout the series, and they're getting to the point now where this is the MSI champion squad. This is the team that people were expecting when they put that 93% vote in, calling RNG the winner.
It's also easy to forget, I know I forget this all the time, that the only team that they've lost to in best of fives is the reigning world champion. EDG are the only team that have beaten RNG in best of fives in summer. They lost 2 to EDG, and we're able to make it here by taking down teams like LNG. So this is a very tough task, despite some of the struggles that RNG had, in LPL coming into play and losing to DRX. So definitely no easy task that DFM was given.
I mean, the only team that could take RNG to all 5 games this year at MSI was T1, right? That was it's an impressive performance. So I mean, all credit due to DFM, and as we say, this is a squad that has been together for so long, attracts so much of the talent from the LJL. It's incredible to see how they've continuously gone from strength to strength, keep coming back every single international tournament stronger than the last, and make teams like the LPL teams work for their money.
Well, we've got the third Drake of the game dropping now as RNG have control over it. DFM, yeah, they know they're in a tough spot if you give them soul point, but you're in a worse spot if you all die trying to contest for it. So there it is. If RNG can get that last one, it will be soul at about 22.5 minutes into the game. That's incredibly difficult to deal with, but when you consider the game itself being a 7K lead at 17 minutes, it sounds about par for the course. RNG have a death grip on this game and are not letting go.
Exactly. That's why for DFM, I was going to say you want them to kind of draw a line of neutral wards in the sand and just wait to scale up. The problem is, with the fact that they're already on soul point, there really is no time to scale. RNG now using the Herald to accelerate the game even further. And I mean, heck, I'm curious to see how far this Herald push can go.
I mean, a lot of times you see a Herald summoned up for like a first turret take and teams want to force it in to get the damage onto the tier 2. This time around, it's forced damage onto the tier 3. It'll have 25% health remaining. I guess if you're looking for a silver lining on that, at least the tier 3 turrets do regenerate health, so maybe it'll be able to heal back up over time. But time is a precious resource that DFM have not been given much of this game.
And the thing is, even if you do try and buy that time, Breathe hasn't even hit his full strength either. Right now you're looking at him potentially being able to aggress onto a weakened tier 3 in the bot side rather than having to get through a tier 1, a tier 2, then to a tier 3. So already RNG just in such a good spot, and now Udapon is in trouble.
Oh no, Ming went for the flash lick. However, Udapon does a good job getting away. He didn't even need to use a summoner spell on that one, maximizing the escape power and the self-peel of the Tristana. Udapon will stay alive for now, but it still means control over the rift, control over the lanes, control over the vision for RNG.
Looks like DFM is setting up for a pick, though. They could look in the mid lane and go, right, well, Udapon's backed away. We won't fully aggress on towards the turret, but trying to see if they can catch the reinforcements from RNG.
Xiaohu, he's gonna get flash, chain, CC'd. He's dead before he's able to self-ulti. Nicely done from DFM to find something there, but now they gotta be careful and try to get away. Harp, he used the flash to make the play. He's got no way out, so it's traded 1 for 1.
I like the DFM go for it, and they don't even leave anything to chance. Like, they're like, we're flashing in, we're using all of our ultis to make sure we get this pick, but RNG so fast on the trigger pull to react. I mean, had this pick back happened, you know, maybe 15 seconds later, maybe that could have even been a Baron.
I mean, that's a Lissandra who has ulti, has flash, and has stopwatch. If you don't all in and just completely floor it, she's gonna get away.
It's taking
she's
30
gonna
minutes.
live, and the tilt is gonna continue. So I'm glad that they went for it. Now let's see what Evie can do down here. He sticks around trying to get this turret, but it ain't gonna happen. And now Ming has applied the pressure, and Breathe has applied the riposte. Poor little Gnar, you are not long for this world. Good night. Breathe gets his second kill.
It's a thumbs down for Evie. Unfortunately, not quite able to get away from that one. And now you've still got Wave pushing topside. Push for mid for Gal. And with 2 minutes now until the Dragon, with 2 smites available in RNG, with Xiaohu having swapped his spellbook over to that as well. It's going to be so incredibly hard for DFM to try and contest it when they can't even get control of the map to push past River.
No, incredibly rough. And, you know, for RNG can keep just applying that side lane pressure with the Fiora. The thing now, though, is they don't have those TPs available, so could be quite risky for them to over-index. I don't think RNG have a lot to be afraid of in terms of DFM going for any sort of crazy Baron sneak. Like, RNG might even be able to take a 4v5 with the amount of lead they have, but still gonna have to be on RNG's mind that they don't have that TP for Breathe.
And RNG have a smooth sailing game ahead of them, barring any major malfunctions in the next couple of minutes. 75 seconds here on the Soul Drake for them. The Baron is already up. Very rarely in League of Legends do you just get to hard force Baron at 21 minutes if you want to, but
Are you sure?
RNG could very easily do that here in this one.
See, this LPL?
Uh-oh, boy.
Do we do that all the time?
Oh, boy.
We do that all the
I feel like I'm
time.
failing the test
That
again.
was like the top esports FPX special.
I feel like I'm failing the test again, my friends, but it's DFM who are the most worried among all of us as Evie tries to get away from Breathe. The rest of RNG are just going to fall back a little bit. They're making sure they don't get caught out. Run, Evie, run. Run, Evie, run. Run, Evie, run. Run, Evie, run. I don't think he's going to be able to run much further. Breathe's even going to get the reduced cooldown there on the lunge. Heart will go down first in the 4v4 back in mid as Breathe finishes the kill on Evie. RNG just ain't showing any signs of stop.
No, they're just, again, running this game over, which feels like a good time to remind people that, I mean, if RNG win this, we already know what group they're going into in the group stage. They're going into Group D. They're going to be playing with Gen G, Flying Oyster, and 100 Thieves. Gen G, a lot of people have them as the tournament favorite, so, you know, you do have that opponent, but also I'd say two other opponents that people would view RNG favorites over, 100 Thieves and CTBC Flying Oyster. So I feel like for RNG, should be feeling pretty good about this win and then heading into the group they're going in.
Man, there's the Soul Drake right there, uncontested, in the middle of nowhere. Two dudes just beating the snot out of it.
Look, DFM just don't believe in Drake violence any longer. I do respect it, you know?
They're repenting for their sins against the Drakes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many Drakes there are in, you know, Runeterra lore, but I'm assuming they're not infinite.
Well, there's 5 of them. There were 6, but he was BS and we had to get rid of it.
Well, he's coming back, though. He's coming back next year.
That's in the future, Lord. This is, oh wait, no, actually there's 6. I forgot the Elder. He's like the Super Drake.
True.
Either way, there's not a whole lot of them. RNG is thinning the herd. They've already killed 4 this game. They've got the Mountain Soul at 23 minutes. Well, on top of an 8K gold direct lead, and now you can see them setting up around the Baron here. I would expect this to be the type of game where you get one Baron, you death ball it down whichever lane you prefer, and you win the game.
Yeah, I don't even know if you need the Baron, to be perfectly honest. It feels like RNG are so incredibly far ahead, but they are set up here. They have Breathe on the bot side. If anyone ever shows up to try and deal with Breathe on that bot side as well, that's just going to be the go button for RNG, and that's realistically all they're trying to achieve here is dragging DFM around the map, because honestly, even if it's Yaharon, I'm pretty sure Breathe 2v1's Evie and Yaharon right now.
Oh boy, we might just be able to figure that out, my friend. Evie is about to die. Xiaohu killed Yaharon while he tried to teleport. They caught him. And that's both solo laners gone.
And now it's just going to be the Baron for RNG. Breathe doesn't even have to come, so he can keep putting the split push pressure down in the bottom lane. And RNG still just winning out on both sides of the map. Unfortunate, because even though DFM are at this huge deficit, I thought, okay, well, if RNG kind of just mess about long enough, we do see items coming online for DFM's still amazing scaling comp. But now with the Baron, it doesn't seem like we'll get there.
Breathe is level 16, Harp is level 9. It almost takes 2 Harps to make a Breathe, and they do not want to go anywhere near this man. Breathe jumps in, Udapone going for a couple of auto attacks, Riposte flies out as Harp goes for the flash, stun, into the gun, and there it is! But it's traded across the map for steal.
It's the stun gun 1-for-1. Xiaohu even gets the top side as well here. It's all over for RNG, just picking up things right, left, and center. Even with one pick coming back, Breed still got Evie. They still got the Baron. And look, it's a nice little bit of gold in the back pocket for the AD carrying Udapone, but not going to be enough.
Now we're going to see, right, Udapone trying to go help and show us if they can win that 2v1, but Xiaohu and Wei say no. Get that pick, which leads to the Baron going over to the side of RNG.
So let's see where things are right now. We got 2 minutes left on the Baron. We've still got Soul locked and loaded, running for everybody on the side of RNG. Breathe has 5 seconds before he's back alive. Unfortunately for RNG, his death means that if they want to have full Baron split push power, somebody else has to be with Fiora, which is not what Fiora wants. She much prefers to just be out on her own, doing her own thing, moisturized in her lane, vibing. But that's not the case. RNG is going to continue moving through the enemy jungle, bounce back and forth, control the vision, make it dark, make it scary, and make it so DFM doesn't know where they can walk. Breathe is back up on the top side. He has no TP, but I don't think RNG is really too concerned about that. 4v5, they've still got more gold in combat power.
And that's why Breed TP topside. He wanted to make sure that he could actually get the push right as this bot wave is going to collapse as well.
And you can see the Sejuani ult from Steel fired out there in desperation. Xiaohu was able to evade it as Evie goes in and finds a stun onto Wei.
Oh, wow.
Bagala's got the kill right back onto Evie. Yaharong's gonna die. Wei goes in again. Udapone barely escaping, using the cleanse, barely staying alive. Wei wants another one, but he won't get Steel. He will force both tanks of DFM back into their own base, back into their own fountain, and it's looking like the end of the series here as Xiaohu will end up dying there at the very end. Udapone goes down as well, however, and that means that RNG is on to the Nexus. DFM tried their best, but RNG will take them down and punch their ticket to the main group stage.
The MSI champions, you never doubted them getting through play-ins. There were some hiccups, lost to DRX, lost to DFM in this series, but I think overall, going through play-ins, probably a good experience for RNG, figuring out their read on the meta. We even saw in this series scaling up to, by far, the most dominant game when they had.
Yeah, and you can still see, though, it's a lot about comfort picks for RNG, right? The Viego coming through from Way, looking great on that. Breathe looking great as well on things like the Fiora. It's still a lot of these things that we know and saw in the LPL, but, I mean, you can see there for Heavy, devastation for DFM. They tried their heart out to get themselves to groups, but unfortunately they were up against the MSI champions.
And it's the things most recent in memory that jump to the forefront of what we think of the series. But again, I do not want Game 1 to be forgotten. I do not want the first time that RNG lost a game to a minor region, that RNG lost a game to the LJL representative to be forgotten. DFM have made strides as a team to elevate their own region, to bring that performance here to the world stage. Unfortunately for them, they will not be able to run it back this year to the group stage on that main stage yet again, but they fought like hell trying. I gotta commend them for what they did here today, but this will be their exit from Worlds 2022.
One of the most, I mean, heck, the most dominant team to ever come out from the LJL. I mean, the crowd rightly applauding them because they've had terrific games so far again. When it comes to macro, when it comes to team fighting later on in the game, they've shown they can contend with the best.
Yeah, and I mean, look, RNG, unfortunately, were able to kind of come out of the gate swinging in Game 3 and Game 4, but as you say, Game 1,